What's good, everybody? This your boy Money Mitch TV coming to you straight off the hip, and welcome to my first episode of my podcast, Let Me Talk My Ish. You know, with yours truly, I'm just going to get straight into it. This podcast is pretty much a little bit of everything, but it's more towards sports, especially like the NBA world. And I'm just going to get straight to it right now. Man, this NBA offseason has been crazy. The playoffs are over. Everybody know the Golden State Warriors beat the Cavaliers in 5 games. Kevin Durant comes out league MVP. Finals MVP. And, you know, everybody knew since the beginning of last summer when Kevin Durant signed with the Warriors that everybody knew that they was the highly favored to win the finals. But to fast forward, a lot of stuff have happened in the past few days. First things first, you know, Boston traded their number 1 pick to Philly so Philly could get Markelle Fultz. Now here's the details of the trade. The Boston Celtics traded their number 1 pick in exchange for Philly's number 3 pick. And also another pick, which is a first round pick in the 2018 draft, which is the Lakers pick. And also another pick they got from Sacramento in the 2019 draft, which is another first round draft. And I'm just going to say this. And I know people wondered, how did Philly get that Lakers pick? Remember that 3-team trade Philly did with Orlando and LA to bring Dwight Howard to LA and Andrew Bynum to Philly? That's how Boston got that pick. They took the pick that the Lakers gave to Philly years ago for that Andrew Bynum trade. And since Boston had made this trade, it looks like Danny Ainge is just going to go ahead and pick Josh Jackson. And I think the reason why he's picking Josh Jackson, because it's just in case if he don't get his hands on Gordon Hayward, Jimmy Butler, or Paul George, he will have a backup plan by drafting Josh Jackson. So that's the highly favored that's the person he's going to take. And also on Philly's side, Philly finally is going to get a great scorer in Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz is a good scorer. I watched very few games of him this past college season, and, you know, I like what I saw. I think he will fit better with Philly. If you think about it, you will have Markelle Fultz, you will have Sergio Rodriguez, Ronnie Covington, Jahlil Okafor, Joel Embiid, Dario Saric, and a nice mix of veterans that, you know, we really haven't heard from that also play on that team, which is going to be a good mix for Philly. Philly's going to be one of those teams that's going to be on the rise in the next few years. And I can't wait to see how Markelle Fultz pans out this season coming up. Also, another crazy trade. The Los Angeles Lakers traded D'Angelo Russell and Timothy Mozgov for Brook Lopez. And they traded that for, let me see, I got it from the Vertical, that was online, Adrian Wojnarowski, which he's a great writer. Here's the details. Los Angeles Lakers traded D'Angelo Russell and Timothy Mozgov for Brook Lopez and the 27 pick in this year's draft. And if you notice, when they pulled that trade, Magic knew in the back of his mind he was going to get Paul George. To me, I think Paul George did a wink-wink deal with the Lakers and told them, if you free up some cap space, I'll come there next year. And if you think about it, this is a good move for Magic. Although he know the Lakers is going to lose this year again, they're going to be back in the lottery again. But they have a better chance to rebuild because they will have over $64 million in salary cap space by making this move. Remember, Mitch Kupchak, the former GM of the Lakers, signed 2 bad contracts in Luol Deng and Timothy Mozgov. And then if you combine those contracts together were $128 million for the next 4 years. And that was like one of the worst contracts Mitch Kupchak had done so far. But since he's been let go, Magic and Rob Pelinka has taken over the reins for the Lakers. It looks like Magic knows what he's doing. He's making room for Paul George. Also, another big trade, Dwight Howard. I knew this was going to happen. I remember I was talking to one of my friends like 2 weeks ago. We was talking about the Atlanta Hawks. And we was just talking about how Paul Millsap is not coming back. And because, the Hawks really don't have the money to pay him because he's 31 years old. And if you put him in a contract with $30+ million a year, by the time he get out of that contract, he'd be 35 years old. And he won't be a factor by the time he's at the end of that contract. So that's the reason why they're not going to sign Paul Millsap. And I knew this was going to happen with Dwight Howard. And I also stated a few weeks ago that Dwight Howard might get traded to a team that's already a playoff team. And Lord behold, look at this. He's been traded to Charlotte Hornets, formerly known as the Charlotte Bobcats. I still say that sometimes just to play around. But this will be a good trade. And the details in that trade also just, Dwight Howard is traded from Atlanta to the Hornets in exchange for Marco Bellinelli and Miles Plumlee. And I think Plumlee just got traded to Charlotte this past season from the Bucks because he had that horrible contract, which that frees up space for Dwight Howard. And I can imagine that pick and roll situation with Dwight Howard and Kemba Walker. That's going to be a good situation for them. Plus, that brings more defense in that front court for Charlotte. So beware Charlotte making good improvements in this coming up season. And I could truly say this. Michael Jordan is finally learning how to be an owner. If you notice this in the beginning of his career of being an owner / GM / president / whatever hat he was wearing in an executive position when he had the Charlotte Bobcats, which now are the Charlotte Hornets, it was like he had a lot of yes men around him. Now Jordan brought in some pieces that made his team better. If his team have gotten better every year. There have been some years they took a step back, but every year they making some type of improvement. So I can't wait to see this season unfolds with the Charlotte Hornets. And it just been a lot of stuff. Also, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Oh my God. I've been saying this forever. LeBron James know his time is running out with the Cavaliers on his second stint. Everybody know that Cleveland have just lost the finals this past season. And after they lost the finals, just about a day ago or this morning, I got the news that Cleveland is letting go their GM, David Griffin. And here's the thing. I knew this was coming. And the reason why this move was made, because Dan Gilbert is indirectly pushing LeBron out of Cleveland. And here's the reason why. When LeBron first got drafted, Dan Gilbert, the owner then, which is the owner now, he loved LeBron. He did a lot of stuff for LeBron. But when LeBron left, it put a bad taste in Dan Gilbert's mouth. But when LeBron came back, Dan Gilbert realized that, LeBron has proven himself to be a championship, and he sees LeBron as an asset. So if he can at least get one championship out of LeBron, he will be fine as a owner, or he will feel accomplished as an owner. So now, since LeBron had brought Cleveland that one championship ring, now you can load the team up. And a lot of people keep thinking, oh, they're going to keep the team together. This is the move that's going to irk LeBron. Getting rid of David Griffin is going to get under LeBron's skin, which maybe it already has got under his skin. But, it's a lot of politics behind that. And also, there were rumors that LeBron was thinking about leaving in 2018 anyway. So now imagine how this is going to happen. The Cavs already have tried to make some attempts to trade Kevin Love to get Paul George or Jimmy Butler, and those trades did not fall through today. And the reason why, because Jimmy Butler realized that if he gets traded to Cleveland and they lose and LeBron leaves, Jimmy Butler is stuck in Cleveland for another year, because Jimmy Butler has 2 years on his contract. And also, Paul George is smart enough not to go to Cleveland. But Cleveland, to me, will be the only suitor to make the trade, because Cleveland know that if they want to win now again, they could trade Kevin Love, which Kevin Love has 3 years left on his contract, for Paul George, which Paul George is pretty much is going to be a 1-year rental. They can try to win the championship this year, then let Paul George walk, let LeBron walk, and then trade Kyrie for some draft picks. And that's how that will play out if Cleveland was able to get Paul George. And a lot of stuff is really going crazy in the NBA world. A lot of stuff is just, man, it's getting real crazy. This is the first time that the offseason feels like the trade deadline. Because usually in the offseason it's quiet until the night of the draft. It's always like this. The night of the draft, that's when a lot of trades go down, or the day after the draft when people are swapping picks or they're trading their second round picks, or players is getting traded for next year's draft. So that's the only time I'm here. But this year, this offseason, it feels like the trade deadline so far. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Also, the Knicks. Oh my God, the Knicks. The Knicks. I could truly say this. The New York Knicks has been an abomination to the NBA. Oh my God. It just been... Phil Jackson, Steve Mills, and whatever. I forgot the owner's name already, but they just been tearing that team up. First, you trying to downplay Melo and trying to get rid of him. Now you can't get rid of him because he has a no trade clause. Then there's only 1 or 2 teams he want to go to. You can't work a proper deal out. Nobody don't want to trade their assets to their team, to the Knicks team, really. And it's kind of sad that, you can't even get no value. And now the Knicks is thinking about trading Kristaps Porzingis. I already saw some information that they got in contact with Phoenix to get that number 4 pick for Kristaps Porzingis. Also, they want Phoenix to throw in Devin Booker. If Phoenix pull that trade off, they're stupid. I feel like if I'm Phil Jackson, if I'm going to trade Kristaps Porzingis, I'm pulling a Danny Ainge. I'm trading Kristaps Porzingis for multiple draft picks and 2 young players that could be good rotational players. And I ain't talking, and when it comes to the draft picks, I'm talking about a lottery pick for this year's draft and a lottery pick for next year's draft. A couple young players, and you could start rebuilding your team. And also, if you're going to trade Carmelo, trade him to the Clippers, because Carmelo would love to go to the Clippers. Also, he's good friends with Chris Paul. It will work out. I bet you Doc Rivers is willing to give up his first round picks for Carmelo. Carmelo Anthony has 2 years left on his contract, and you can give up Carmelo for some draft picks, maybe Austin Rivers or another good key player, or do a sign and trade with JJ Redick, because there's already been rumors that JJ Redick want to go to New York and Carmelo want to go to the Clippers. Do a sign and trade. Sign JJ Redick to a max contract, trade him over to New York for Carmelo with a draft pick, and then call it a day. That's how I feel. But man, there's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on. Also, in some other news, I just read this too. The Boston Celtics are in trade talks with the New York Knicks for Kristaps Porzingis. If the Celtics pull this trade off, they might be able to beat the Cavs this year in the playoffs. Isaiah Thomas at the 1, Avery Bradley at the 2, potentially Gordon Hayward at the 3, Al Horford at the 4, Kristaps Porzingis at the 5. That will be a monstrous team. Remember, Kristaps Porzingis, he could post up, he could shoot, he could block shots, he can pretty much defend. He has a great mid-range jumper. Kristaps Porzingis is a nice big man, but if Danny Ainge pull this off, the Celtics can go to the finals this year. Plus, Kristaps Porzingis is in his rookie deal still. So, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait. I really can't wait. There's so much going on this offseason. I can't wait to the draft. Everybody know Markelle Fultz is going number 1 to the 76ers. Lonzo Ball is going number 2 to the Lakers, which everybody know that, that LeVar Ball been talking a whole lot of craziness, saying his son's going to the Lakers. But hey, it is going to happen. Everybody know it is going to happen. And also, Boston has that number 3 pick. They're going to pick up Josh Jackson. And that number 4 pick, Phoenix is leaning towards Jonathan Isaac. But I feel like they need to pick up Jason Tatum. If they pick up Jason Tatum, that would be a good fit for Phoenix. But overall, they're leaning towards Jonathan Isaac. And, that 6th pick in this year's draft, the Orlando Magic has that pick. And they're projected to pick Jason Tatum. But I won't be surprised. Also, I forgot, Sacramento's 5th pick, they thinking about picking up a point guard. So I could see De'Aaron Fox going to Sacramento. Sacramento will be good. But if New York play their cards right, they could have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. If you trade Porzingis, I will either go for Phoenix's 4th pick or Boston's 3rd pick, or I will move up and get Sacramento's 5th pick for Porzingis. I would trade Porzingis for the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th pick. Those are good picks, right, in those 3 slots. So, who knows? The draft is going to unfold. I can't wait to see how it's going to pan out in this year's draft. The lottery, looks good. 1 through 14 it's okay, because I think like the first 8 picks are going to be very good picks, and then from 8 to 14 it's going to kind of go downhill from there. But hey, I see my hometown team with the 17th pick, the Milwaukee Bucks. They thinking about picking up that power forward named Bam. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's Abdibayo. Yeah, that's what his name. Yeah, Bam Adebayo. They thinking about picking him up, and when I watched him play, he kind of plays like Serge Ibaka. He could block shots, you know. I don't know if he could shoot real good, but you know, he could defend real good. He's okay. He's kind of like a young Serge Ibaka or a Markieff Morris, somewhat like that. That can, you know, but watching like interviews with De'Aaron Fox stated that Bam could actually shoot the ball. So I can't wait to see this. But a lot of people say he reminds them of Serge Ibaka. So if the Bucks make that pick and it pans out, that will be okay. But I really think the Bucks is going to go ahead and pick that up. And then they're going to go ahead and make this move. And I'm going to call it first as somebody that was raised in Milwaukee and been rocking with the Bucks since the Vin Baker days. That's a long time ago. That's about 25 years ago when Vin Baker and Glenn Robinson was running the show. That's a long time. That's how long I've been rocking with the Bucks. Don't be surprised when the Milwaukee Bucks signs Drew Holiday this offseason, because the Bucks has a weakness, and the weakness is a point guard. They need a point guard. Have you noticed Jason Kidd? He been experimenting, you know, turning shooting guards into point guards. Like first he did Giannis Antetokounmpo. He trying to turn Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is a 6'11" shooting guard / small forward, and trying to turn him into a point guard. It worked out because the Bucks was able to make it to the playoffs by Giannis being the main facilitator and the playmaker. Then took Malcolm Brogdon, which was a second-round pick of this past year's draft, which Malcolm Brogdon was going to be the first second-rounder to be crowned as the Rookie of the Year of this year's NBA season that just passed. So I will be happy when that happened. Malcolm Brogdon was going to make history if he wins that Rookie of the Year award. He will be crowned as the first second rounder to be a winner of the Rookie of the Year award. But back to Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon was a shooting guard, and Jason Kidd did this experiment of trying to turn him into a point guard. You know, it kind of worked out. Malcolm Brogdon, he could play defense a little bit. He has a okay mid-range jumper. He's not scared to drive to the hole. He's not a good finisher, but he drive to the hole to create contact, to, you know, draw fouls. He has a lot of development to go through. I could see Malcolm Brogdon, if that work out, I could see him like a Chauncey Billups, a big point guard that's not too quick, but know how to pick their spots and shoot the ball. But overall, I could see Milwaukee signing Drew Holiday, and here's the reason why. Milwaukee been trying to trade for Drew Holiday since this past season. First, they tried to do a deal straight up Greg Monroe for Drew Holiday. Then that didn't work out. Then it was Greg Monroe, a draft pick for Drew Holiday. New Orleans did not want that. New Orleans came back and say, we'll give you Drew Holiday if you give us Greg Monroe and Jabari. And the Bucks was like, nah, we're not giving up Jabari Parker. So that deal didn't fall through. Then they tried it again for the third time, and that didn't even fall through. So now, since the Bucks can't get him, they're going to wait this offseason, which we in now. He's going to take a meeting with the Bucks, and the Bucks is going to most likely sign Drew Holiday. So, and that's how I feel about that whole situation, you know. But yeah, anyway, like, comment, and subscribe to my podcast. I will be posting this podcast on SoundCloud and on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Money Mitch TV, and my SoundCloud is Money Mitch TV. It's your boy Money Mitch TV. Catch you later.